everyone, welcome to Creative Block with Spirit Studios. I'm Ruby Tingle. I'm a progressive electronica and contemporary visual artist, and I work mainly with collage, but that expands into performance and installation and sound and film as well. I combine my music and artwork to make video and live art pieces, and they're inspired by nature and the everyday environments that are around me. Lay your head, lay your head, lay your head, lay your head. Moving hearts, lay strong. My workspace itself acts as a kind of catalyst for creativity. It's not a traditional artist studio or music studio. It's more of an internal world. I keep a lot of amphibians and reptiles at home and in my studio. And I also spend a lot of time playing around with aquariums and water, so I kind of surround myself with the subjects that I'm interested in, and having them around me all the time acts as a constant source of inspiration. I often respond to my own creative blocks by going outside. I'm really lucky that I live by one of my favourite habitats to explore, which is the swamp. As an environment, it's so rich in the kind of animals and nature that inspire me anyway. But also as a kind of surface, I find it really inspiring because the surface of the water isn't transparent like most other bodies of water. So I think because you can't see into it, it holds this kind of mysterious quality of what could be lurking beneath the surface, whether that's a real animal or something imagined. I find just walking around a body of water for a short period of time can be really inspiring, and just even for half an hour having that experience, recording the sounds or images around me and noting down phrases and words can act as a huge creative catalyst. I think the restrictions that we've all experienced during the last year have made us notice things that would normally go amiss because of the pace of life, because of travel and work. So whether that's sounds, textures or colours, things that we might see when going for a walk or things around the home, these kind of small details that are usually overlooked have come to the forefront. My home being situated between this kind of natural environment and also the industrial means that I have this kind of quite jarring and contrasting but a wealth of visual imagery and also of different kinds of sound that I can immerse myself in. And the landscape alters depending on which direction I want to walk that day from my doorstep. A daily walk can be incredibly transformative, experiencing the same place but in different weathers, seasons, times of day. recording my experiences of going outside when I feel like I need this creative release has become almost like a journal for me. And that in turn acts as a sort of bank of sound, of audio, and of also imagery and sort of short film snippets that I can then bring back to the studio and work with here. I'm really interested in bringing the outside inside. So whether that relates to keeping frogs in tanks and creating these kind of miniature habitats for them, or recreating the textures of the swamp that I'm experiencing in my works on paper. I also work this way with music. In the music I make, there's a really strong connection between the natural and the electronic. I like to use and manipulate the natural sound recordings that I capture within my music and the songs that I write to kind of create almost like a tangible sonic environment to support the piece of music. So I can then place my electronic music compositions within different environments, whether that's a rainforest, a city, or a kind of something completely imagined. When working in this way, you can reuse and recycle your sound recordings in a variety of different ways by manipulating them digitally. I really like this process as part of my practice because it means the more I reuse and recycle a sound, the more it's kind of becoming part of this transformative process. So I have some samples that I've repurposed for a creative block that are going to be available to you afterwards to play around with and use in whatever way you'd like. When working with Logic or any software like this, you can physically see the music in front of you and the layers in front of you, which really helps me as a visual artist when working in this way. I use layers to create something immersive and varied, and I think that comes from being inspired by natural sound. The city has traffic, it has voices, it has sirens, and that kind of constant murmur of activity. And then a natural landscape might have something like birdsong and water, and the sound that the kind of branches make as you walk through a wood, or the sound of the earth and the surface beneath you as you're kind of moving through it. So I try to emulate these layers with the compositions that I make and the way that I digitally manipulate the sounds. 3 really simple things you can do in Logic just as a basis for then dealing with some kind of raw natural sound recording. Looping is really essential when trying to make something rhythmic from some of these sounds. I use a lot of pitch shifting tools within my music work. I think you can alter the resonance and the atmosphere of a sound really drastically by altering its pitch. And then reverbs and textures are so important. Texture for me is something really important in music anyway, because it gives the music a kind of physicality. So these kind of reverb plugins that can alter the behaviour of a sound are really useful. You can make things crackle, you can make things kind of whisper, you can even make a sound sort of grow a kind of resonant tail in effect. And through these techniques, some of the sounds that you work with will be manipulated so much that they can't really be traced back to what they originally were. Once they've become unrecognisable, I think that transformation process is really inspiring in itself. As a performance artist and a performer of my own music, I often like to think about these ideas in a sort push them to the next level and think about how they could be performed. Then try and think about how to make this audio happen as a live experience. Because I've made this short video, which is intrinsically linked to this short audio piece that I've made, I would think about presenting those together as an audio-visual work. Maybe it could be projected in some kind of space, and then I could perform the vocal elements alongside it live. So it becomes a live performance in essence. Could possibly think about performing something like this actually back in the environment that it came from. Performing outside can be a really interesting experience because of the lack of control that you have. I'm quite fascinated by the idea of completing a cycle in a work process like this. So maybe if I had the audio playing on a small speaker that was mobile and actually singing or performing whilst walking around some kind of wetlands area with an invited audience, then sort of returns the work back to its roots. It's an interesting way of incorporating the real visual elements that have inspired the work, and also using the natural environment as like a live sound installation as well. Something immersive, transformative and original can come from something really simple, like just going for a walk when you need to refresh your ideas.